welcome back to the Baker Take. It is the day before the election when we were recording this, so we are very excited for this week, and we have a lot to talk about. Hi, Mom.
Hi there. I've got my USA hat on today, my subliminal Trump hat. If you turn one way, I got a 45 on it. Oh,
other side. Way, there you go.
There you go. I've got my 45 on there. Hopefully it's going to I can get embroidered 47 next to it after the election. We'll see. I didn't wear my Trump Vance t-shirt because I'm nauseously optimistic, which is actually a term that I heard the Democrats use, which I thought was funny, but it's really true. I'm nauseous. I'm so nervous about the election, and I didn't put that shirt on today just because I don't want to be too optimistic about a win. And I do have my new jeans on. I told you I bought some new jeans, and so I thought this was kind of funny because I like this company called, you guys, you probably don't, you and your friends don't like it as much, Cabby. It's wearable stuff, but it's not always in tune with a younger audience.
Well, the way they sell it too is not marketed to my age. It's marketed to
exactly. It's almost like a Tupperware party, and you're too young to remember those, but I hated Tupperware parties, and I don't really like the Cabby parties either. I never have. I don't like boutique shopping either for that reason, that I don't like to feel pressured into buying something. So which is why I usually like department stores or online shopping. But I did buy Cabby stuff this year. I didn't go to my neighbor's party. I went ahead and bought from the catalog online and had something shipped. And only one out of the 4 things actually fit me, which were the jeans. But I needed a size smaller, which I don't know. Cabby does this thing where I think it's vanity sizing, where they...
That's the word that I couldn't think of yesterday when we were talking about it.
Yeah,
vanity sizing.
So we kind of briefly talked about that yesterday, and I definitely think that is one of their marketing strategies. And a lot of other companies do it as well, but they size not according to dimensions and normal measurements, but they size, make the sizes smaller than the actual measurements. So it makes customers feel really good. I'm in a size 6 jean today, and I'm ooh, I'm in a 6, but am I really in a 6? No, I'm really an 8. So,
then you have my generation, they don't give a shit, because then they're they do the opposite.
Yes.
Some of the companies where they're yep, you're a 12 now.
Yeah. Well, and it's, that's why too, you can wear everything from a 4 to a 10.
Right.
I mean, there, you really don't have a set size anymore like you used to, because of this, sliding scale that the companies use with their sizes.
But it totally depends, like you said, what brand, because I can walk into Lululemon and I'll leave with 5 things and they're all different sizes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, I'm in my new jeans. I like them. I actually caved and bought some cropped ones, which I didn't think I was going to do. I still don't like some of the cropped dress pants and the balloon type pants and all that stuff. But these are kind of cute. They're not really super flared, but they're kind of like a boot cut flare. And then it looks really good with short boots.
Well, there's this trend right now, which I don't think will last. It's been around a couple months, barrel jeans, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I don't like those.
You'd hate them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. And I don't want anything making me look bigger.
They look like pantaloons.
They do. I hate them.
I don't like them at all.
They're so hideous.
Not only do I'm not built for those. You have to be super, super thin, I think, to pull them off even.
Yeah.
But I still don't like them. I don't think they look good on anybody.
I have a couple pair too of the newer wide leg jeans and pants. I think I told you that last time. I bought those cute, kind of olive colored cargo pants in California, and great trending color, and they look great on, but they're just on the verge. If they were any wider, I wouldn't like them. Some of the pants that are too wide are too wide,
I don't mind a wide leg jean, but some of them that are built for bow leg, that look like they make your legs look bow legged. I'm why?
Yeah, no, that is not a good look. And and like I said, I don't need anything to make me look bigger. I don't know too many women that do. You'd have to be really wafy thin to.
Well, Cabby too. I think part of Cabby's problem is that they don't pick like a lot of young reps. They need to transition to like more of like a hybrid with a social media focus a little bit. I think they
Absolutely.
do well
Well,
in
like
that.
I
And then
think I
they get a
told
lot of young
you.
because they have cute clothes.
Yeah, I think I told you they were looking for a new rep in Dallas, in the Dallas market, and the girl that was doing it is a little bit older, but she's very stylish and she's got tons of energy, and so it suited
Yeah,
her
she
really
totally
well
makes
then.
sense for it.
But then they said they wanted to look for somebody to replace her. She wanted to retire basically, so she was looking for somebody in the 30s. Which I said, oh my gosh, I've got like these 3 girls that are in their early to mid 30s that would be just perfect for it. And then they ended up picking this woman, and she's very nice, and I won't say anything negative about her, except it's just not in that age group, and so it doesn't help them expand their demographic.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about that. But so Halloween was just here, and did you get any? You guys went out to like a bar, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We went. So, well, Syracuse is a college town, so they have a lot of stuff going on for Halloween and Hell Weekend.
Well, they embrace almost every holiday.
It was it was kind of 2 weekends long, basically. There was like a joke on, because that's a big thing among like early 20s age group and mid 20s age group, right? Is like Halloween weekend, and like you go out for Halloween, and Halloween was on a Thursday this year, so everyone was like, is it the weekend before, or is Halloween weekend the weekend after?
Right.
And one kind of picked, and so there was stuff both weekends.
Okay.
Which was fun. But I went to like a party with a couple of my friends. One of our friends that's the like 1L rep, the rep for our class for the Black Law Students Association. They were throwing a party, and so she wanted us to go. So we went to that, and that was fun. And I dressed up as an angel because I bought the wings for my Saltburn costume, and it came with a halo.
Okay.
And so, all right, I'll just wear that for this week, right? But and then on Thursday was actual Halloween, and we only have one class Friday, so we went to a couple bars on Thursday night.
And you dressed up for that one as well?
Yeah, I was Meredith Grey for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halloween.
So we only got, which is crazy because we have a neighborhood, and it's partly, I'm sure, because the kids have just grown up now in the households. Our neighbors have been in our neighborhood for a long time. So their kids have now grown up, and some of them are having grandkids and whatever. But our doorbell only rang 3 times. And you know me, I had a monstrous amount of candy. So I've got this giant amount of candy left over, which I don't really know what to do with at the moment. I should have brought some up here for the staff, honestly. So I've got a lot of stuff left over. I do have a funny story for you though.
Okay.
And I told you I was going to save it to the podcast so that
you did.
so I could get your reaction. So, you know how when we were thinking about, I was trying to help you decide what to be for Halloween or what costumes to kind of, hone in on.
Well, my problem with the costume thing is that every time I pick something that's girly, I'm annoyed after. I'm like, I should have picked something more fun.
Yeah.
And then every time I pick something more fun, I'm like, I should have been able to do my hair or something, And so I'm like, I always struggle with what vibe to go for. So
well, that's also because you're kind of a guy's girl and you're not like super girly, which is like I am as well. And so usually the really sexy outfits don't really appeal to me as much as like more of a creative kind of cool outfit. And I remember the year that I was like Zorro and I put on the big riding boots and the flowy white shirt and, did all this stuff and looked like kind of, swashbuckler. And your dad was digging it until I drew on the mustache.
Yeah, right. Well, one of my favorite costumes was Pitbull. I loved being Pitbull.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
No, that was a great costume.
All my friends loved it.
Yeah.
And I remember Dad being like, why would you do that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I remember him saying like some joke like, that's not going to get you a boyfriend. And I'm like, well, I show men at bars and they think it's hilarious.
So I thought it was the best costume ever. In fact, that I woke up that morning or that night when you called, I think it was probably early morning. I don't even know. in the middle of the night when you
I was behind you by a couple hours.
Oh
so
my gosh,
it was
she
like late at
FaceTimed
night.
me and I rolled over thinking there was something wrong and answered like, what? Because I was already asleep. And then seeing you and your friends with the bald heads and dressed as Pitbull, that was one of my favorite moments of you being in college, honestly.
I remember I called Michaeline, right?
Yeah.
And then Michaeline texted me back and said, on set, are you okay? Do I need to come get you?
See? And we both thought something was
"No,
wrong.
I'm dressed as Pitbull.
Oh my
Answer my FaceTime call.
No, we'll have to put up that picture because that's literally, it's hysterical. So this year I was going to buy you because I saw this costume and I was like, oh, that's really cute. It's like an Oktoberfest beer maiden, and you could get like carry a stein. And in Syracuse, I mean, it would be totally appropriate because there's so much German and Polish activity there and people there and festivals there that it would be very.
My favorite bars here is a beer garden.
Exactly. So I saw this one online and then I started kind of searching to see if I could find one that I like the colors in for you, because like not all the colors were perfectly suited. And so I was like looking at, and I found this one, and you're going to die because I found it on Facebook Marketplace, right? So I know, and I know how you hate buying stuff that's like used on Facebook.
Other people's clothes,
other people's stuff. But she said, like, I texted this woman and I said, hey, has this been worn? And she said, no, it's new. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the pictures of it looked brand new. I mean, it looked and I was like, that's really cute. And so I thought, well, I'll go. And so I messaged her back. It was only like $15 too. And I'm like, how can you, even if it's not good, I can throw it away for $15. Right. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And I barely ever buy anything on Facebook. I usually sell stuff, but I barely buy anything. Yeah. So anyway, I committed to it, and she gave me her address, and I was thinking it was kind of like off of 121 by the Colony. And I was like, okay, I got to go to Nebraska Furniture Mart anyway. And it's not too far from that. It ended up being, when I actually mapped it out, it ended up being kind of by Lake Louisville. But I'm like, okay, I'm already on my way. I mean, I might as well just go. And I didn't have a lot of plans that day. So I'm like, I'm going to go get it. And then I'll circle back, down 121 coming home and hit where I needed to go. Anyway, I get there. It's this lake area. And the area is actually pretty nice. And I'm like winding through the little neighborhood and the roads, and the houses look pretty decent and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of a cute little neighborhood. And thinking even my brother Michael might like to live out there because he loves the lake and everything. And I get to the address and I'm like, because it looked like it had a couple of cars in the driveway and it looked a little overgrown, like the bushes and stuff. Just not, it wasn't super well manicured, but I'm like, okay, all right, So I get out of the car and I walk up to the house. And as I'm walking up to the house, I get up to the porch, and the porch is really overgrown with stuff like around it. And I'm like, and it's like there were 1,000 mosquitoes or more that attach themselves to me. And I saw this like grocery bag with the thing tied sitting on the porch. And I'm like, oh, did she put it on the porch and I'm just supposed to leave the $15, So I pick up the bag, and it's literally bags of dog shit tied up and put inside this bigger bag. And I go, oh my God. And I dropped the bag on the porch. And I left, obviously, and I'm like trying to get the mosquitoes off of me. And I go, holy crap. And I got in my car and I just drove away. And then the lady messaged me and was like, are you coming to get this outfit?
No.
And I said, no, it's too far. I was like, oh my gosh, this is why you and I don't buy stuff on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, I remember having this conversation. That's insane.
Oh my gosh. I was horrified.
I remember having the same conversation with my roommate senior year when I lived with those 9 girls.
Yeah.
And they were like, I was like, let's order this love seat for $150 from Amazon for our house. It'll fit perfectly right here. I already measured. It's going to fit, right? And they go, well, let's look for a cheaper option. I go, okay, so divided by 10, this is $15 per person.
Oh my God.
I know you can all afford that. I know you can all afford that. And then I'm like, whatever, look on Facebook Marketplace. They start sending me couches and they're like, this guy down the street is selling this couch for $30. And I go, there's a reason a college guy is selling a couch, and it's not a good reason.
And there's a reason it's $30.
Well, yeah. And I looked at the couch and I go, multiple people have had sex on that couch. And somebody goes, how do you know that? And I go, because you know.
You just know.
So as long as you're comfortable with that being in our kitchen, I will be sitting on it.
Oh my gosh. That experience of that house and the table that they bought from the previous owners of the house.
My God.
I hated the table.
All year, I actively called the table the garbage table.
Oh yeah.
Because it looked like it should be like on the street.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the funny thing was I offered to buy a table and they weren't even going to have to pay for it.
No, I know. It was that was stupid. I can't even talk about that conversation too long because I get really angry about it.
Well, how about the roommate that hid the lemons? You had a bowl of lemons and every once in a while they would go missing and then your other roommates would find them in the cabinet, down deep into the cabinet. And
so she hated them. No one believed me that she was moving them for a while. And then they started noticing it. And then the more allies I gained in the house, the more people I had to find the lemons and put them back out.
Oh my gosh. And I'm not sure if you put the additional ones out, but I sent you more just because of that.
Because I was put the additional ones out.
Just because I was so irritated by that.
We had enough meat. We didn't need that.
No, that was so funny. You know me, I'm the instigator. And then I think I sent you a shirt that said I love lemons or something.
Yeah, I still have that shirt.
Too funny. But I
still have the lemons too. I'm looking at them.
I know. They're in your next place. They've been traveling around with you across the country from apartment to apartment. But I knew you'd appreciate that story. And it just reiterates why we don't buy used stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Although I just sold a bunch of things, and I sold your little fridge from the poker room the other day.
That's a fridge.
A great fridge. I sell great stuff on there. Everything I sell is in good shape.
Anything eBay's buying from you, they're like, holy shit, won the lottery.
Exactly. And then I think one of your buddies, I think Jake, is going to take the poker table and chairs from the poker room, which is in perfect condition.
He called and left me a sassy voicemail because I didn't answer his phone call about how he was taking the chairs. I guess you're busy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad he's taking it because it's in great shape. It's like brand new. So we're converting that room to a bedroom, which all of your friends who spend the night will be thrilled, I'm sure.
Oh, the men are gonna fight over that room.
I'm sure they will. I'm putting in.
Parker Blackburn's gonna claim it as his own.
I picked out a nice big king mattress that's super soft. So Oh
my God, they're gonna fight over that.
Yeah. So about Halloween as well. Just that I noticed that houses in the area don't seem to be decorating as much as they did before. And I just went to Arizona on a trip, and the houses there, I was amazed, are totally decked out for fall and for Halloween, and the neighborhoods were, and cute little neighborhoods. Now, I'm sure not every pocket is the same in Arizona, but where I was in a town called Chandler, and it's part of Phoenix, suburb of Phoenix. And super cute homes. And I did a Chase 100 ballots for the GOP, which was helping people, know the deadlines of early voting and mail-in voting and all of that jazz. So that was interesting.
Are you a Republican?
Am I a Republican? Did you not know that? So this was a funny thing too. So when I went through training, so they put you through like a couple hours of training before they send you out to like knock on doors and stuff. And the training was really well done. And Turning Point is I'm not sure our audience knows, but a conservative group that,
Turning Point's a machine.
It totally is. And their training center in Arizona was amazing. It was like a little complex. And multiple buildings, super clean looking, and they had giant refrigerated wall that they had all these drinks in, like waters and sodas and all this stuff. And they were like, help yourselves. And they catered in food for the trainees. that was good from just like, a deli locally, but everything was nice and organized. But this is what I had to laugh at. So they're doing training and they say to our group, which there were like 150 people that showed up, which I was like, wow. And this is every day they were having it. And apparently they had people doing it not only in Arizona, but in other swing states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and whatever. But they did tell us that, to feel free to go into somebody's house and help them complete a ballot.
Oh, fuck no.
And I, exactly.
No way.
I was like, have they not seen every scary movie or every episode of Law and Order?
Any episode of Criminal Minds will keep you from doing that.
Yes, you don't go. I'm like, I am not going into somebody's home and their personal space. And they go, well, and I didn't say that out loud. I was just like, no, in my head. But then they're going, well, if somebody's elderly and they need help, I'm like,
they get you.
Yeah, they look elderly and they look like they have a cane, and then you walk in their house and they hit you over the head with the cane.
Just about to say that. Then the cane becomes a weapon.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're in their basement.
Oh, no.
They can't find you.
I know. And then they also said, if you want to you do have a car, if you've rented a car, which most people didn't, they gave us an Uber voucher to go to and from the neighborhoods and to order food and all that kind of stuff. But they were like, if you did rent a car, which I did because I don't like to be trapped. They were like, if you rented a car, feel free to take people to the polling places, drive them to to turn in their ballots. And there again, I was like, no, I'm not putting anybody in my car, in my personal space, and putting myself in a vulnerable situation.
Also, with like the political thing, you get a lot of needy, weird people.
Yes, for sure.
Any political space I've worked in, they have regulars that call them every day.
Oh, I'm sure.
That it doesn't matter if it's a campaign or a local office or the DC office. They're like, oh yeah, it's that guy that calls every day. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's the guy that calls every day. And they're like, I remember I was like my week at Glenn Grothman's office, which I have no respect for that congressman, but there was a guy that called every day, and they called him the French guy. And they go, yeah, he'll just talk for like 30 minutes. We have no idea if he even lives in the district. He says he lives in France. And I'm like, why are we entertaining this phone call?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we have to like talk to the constituents. I go, we don't know he's a constituent.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
That is one thing I've always said, Mom, is that if I run for office and I win, my interns don't have to talk to crazy and rude people. No, they don't.
You will run for office.
And they can hang up on people that start shouting me
up. That's good. That's good. I told you I'm going to manage your campaign, and they're going to say, look, this girl's squeaky clean, but look what her mother did.
Uh-huh.
So another thing, since you're talking about needy people, in training, there was this guy in the front row, of course. And every time what the trainer said, like they had a big presentation in front of us, on the big screen. And every once in a while they would come up with like a quote from somebody or a dialogue or type thing. And they would say, oh, well, who will volunteer to read this particular one? And of course, this guy every single time raised his hand. So after like the fourth time I go, oh, he's our designated reader. He's going to read them all. And everybody busted out laughing. I'm just like, well, he is. He's the only one that's raising his hand. Just tell him to read it and say, Dave, what does this say?
That's really fun.
Yeah. So
I'm like you in that way. Sometimes I can't help myself.
Yeah, no. And then it's like when I knocked on doors out in these neighborhoods too. Oh, they sent me to some gated neighborhoods too, which by the way is a real challenge because
if anyone could get in, it'd be you.
I did get in, but it's not the easiest thing. And then people are in a gated neighborhood for a reason. They don't want solicitations. They don't want people, knocking on their doors. So that was a little fuzzy. But anyway, I would knock on the door and take like 3 or 4 steps back. And most people were super appreciative though of me stopping by. They were like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's great to see Republicans, boots on the ground."
You've got good numbers in Arizona compared to others.
I think so. I think he's going to win Arizona.
Last time I checked the New York Times poll, it was like last week before I had a radio hit, and it was like he was up by like 2% in Arizona, and all of the other ones were like so close they couldn't even basically call person in the lead.
I'm just praying that he wins. I would love to see him win Pennsylvania, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Who knows? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think she should have picked the guy from Pennsylvania. He seems smarter than Tim Walz.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah.
The more I hear Tim Walz talk, the less intelligent I think he is.
Well, absolutely. And it would have been a completely different narrative, obviously, if she picked Josh Shapiro. I mean,
and the more I hear JD Vance talk, the more intelligent and normal I think he is.
Know. I feel the same way.
I didn't like the pick at first.
No, I didn't. I know you didn't. I was optimistic. I was a little on the fence, but I was like, okay, there's a reason. I didn't know a lot about him. The funny thing is, like, Walz keeps saying how he comes from a privileged family. I'm like, no, if you really looked and you read his book and the whole premise of his book that he talks about all the time. I think it's called Hillbilly Elegy. Yeah,
I want to read it.
Yeah,
I have it in my Amazon cart.
I haven't read it, but I know that he comes from a kind of a poverty background, and he didn't go to a super expensive undergrad school either. I think he went to, like, I want to say Ohio State or something.
Did he go to Ohio State?
I think so. I can't remember where he went, but it wasn't like they were saying basically, oh, he went to Ivy League. And I'm like, no, he went to law school Ivy League, but that was after he worked his way up from nothing. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
So did half of Democrats that are in any of the prominent positions in this country.
Yeah, you look at Michelle.
Obama went to Columbia.
And Michelle Obama, too. I mean, it wasn't just Barack Obama.
She went to Princeton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. But, that's not what I would call out on him as being something to criticize.
In fact, they called him weird, right? Tim Walz called him weird.
Yeah.
The more they talk, the less weird JD Vance seems and the more weird Tim Walz seems.
I know. I agree.
Well,
crazy.
do you know who Theo Vaughn is, Mom?
No.
You should look up his podcast because Trump's gone on it.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders has gone on it, and now JD Vance was on it last week. And that's like, it's not what you're expecting. He's like one of those people that did like way too many hard drugs in like college and their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And like when they talk, you're like, oh, there's something missing up there.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he is. But he's hilarious. And so he's like very viral on social media. And Trump went on the podcast and JD Vance went on it. And JD Vance seemed like the most normal like person ever.
Yeah.
He's just laughing and talking with him and laughing at Theo Vaughn. He's making these crazy comments.
Yeah.
And just seems like a normal guy.
Okay. I'll definitely check that out.
It did well for him with like my age group for sure.
That's good. I like to see younger people too kind of coming back to the Republican Party. So that's good.
Ohio State, Mom.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was Ohio State. And I was like, that's not like obviously not an Ivy League school. I mean, it's a good school. It's a good school, no doubt. But I'm like, why is he criticizing him on that? Really picking that to, I don't know. Seems weird. But Arizona,
Ohio State, they played Penn State this weekend.
What's that?
Can you hear me?
No, what'd you say?
Speaking of Ohio State, they played Penn State this weekend, and their Penn State's like whiteout game, which is like their big game.
And Ohio State won, right?
Yeah. One of my friends here, Nick, goes to or went to Penn State, so he was there.
Okay.
But did you see the video of Jason Kelsey at the game?
No.
Oh my God. So he was walking into the Penn State game, right?
Yeah.
And this Penn State student, there's like, of course, like tons of people surrounding him because man's like a celebrity now, right?
Right.
And so he's walking in, and this kid goes, "Hey, Kelsey, how does it feel that your brother's a F word for dating Taylor Swift?"
Oh.
You know which word I'm talking about?
No.
The like not gay. People. Yeah. And he was like, "Hey, Kelsey, how do you feel that your brother's the blank for dating Taylor Swift?" And Jason Kelsey whips around, grabs the phone out of that kid's hand and smashes it on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And then said, "Who's the F word now?"
Oh
in
my
that kid's face.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, oh my, I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm like, people nowadays don't get hit in the face enough for things. And
Absolutely.
I'm like,
And they think they can do anything and invade anybody's personal space and get involved in it.
say anything.
Look what happened with the World Series games with the Yankee fans who grabbed the ball from the outfielder of the Dodgers.
Wasn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh. Like, what are they thinking? Like, what are they thinking, honestly? I'm glad that they got banned from not only that game, they got expelled from that and escorted out, but they got banned from game 5 as well. And they were season ticket holders, but who cares? You don't do shit like that. And I love the fact that they
interfering in the game. There's a whole that's completely different than like just being a fan. Being a
no doubt. And I'm like, it was so brazen. But I loved how the Yankees handled it too, because they ended up giving the tickets for the game 5 to a 15-year-old cancer patient and his family. Yeah. So, but you know what? I hope that those two guys who were involved with that, those Yankee fans, I hope they get a lot of shit from people, because that's really uncalled for, and it was crazy.
Not for the love of the game.
No. Yeah, no. You know, that was way over the line.
I did see some funny tweets on X, on Twitter, of people being like, Yankees have signed 2 fans who, and it was like joking about how they're playing better than the Yankees.
Got you.
And yeah.
That's kind
of,
yeah.
I thought that was crazy too. But my point with the Jason Kelce thing is that people need to realize they can't just say whatever the hell they want about somebody's family and somebody's wife and get away with it. And then people are like, do you think Jason Kelce will get canceled for saying that word? And I'm like, no. I think that was probably the best usage of it that anyone could have made.
Yeah, and you know what? That fan gets what he gets. I hope it scared the crap out of him. You know?
I hope it did too. Somebody goes, that man was paid for years to move 360-pound men.
Yeah.
Move them.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not scared of anybody.
No.
And I'm like, no.
Especially not like, you know, some little big mouth. Was it a teenager or was it
a college kid?
Okay.
Penn State.
All right. Well, get what you get. Yeah. You know, hopefully he'll live and learn. He'll never do it again. I guarantee you.
Never do it again.
Nope. He'll watch what he says from now on. There were actually a lot of, obviously a lot of football games this weekend, and Cowboys played like crap again, which the score doesn't really reflect, because it was 27-21 Falcons, but the Cowboys, I'm just like, what in the world is going on here? It's horrific. And we have such good like players on the team.
Yeah. So you're like, what's going on in the locker room? Like, there's no team synergy. They look like they've never played together before. And I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah. And I like Dak, I do, but like and I was talking to somebody about Dak this weekend, one of my friends here, and he was going, Dak's not worth the money you guys are paying. And I go, when Dak's great, he has those moments where you're like, oh my God, this is why we're paying him. Yeah. He's really great. But then when he's bad, he looks like he's like a high school football player.
Well, exactly.
And you're like, I've never seen somebody get called for intentional grounding as much as Dak Prescott does.
Yeah.
I'm like, they don't even really call that in the NFL unless they have to.
Right. Yeah, because if there's anybody near him at all, they'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Yeah. No, he that has been Grandma doesn't like Dak, so she never has, and Justin doesn't either, which is funny. Justin always liked Cooper Rush, but
Dak always liked Cooper Rush. She's always excited when Cooper Rush is in the game.
So he was excited probably yesterday when they finally brought him in. But the Lions are doing really well, so that's Justin's other team, so he's pretty happy with that. Dak is just very hot and cold, and to your point, and when he's good, he's brilliant, and when he's bad, he's really bad. So is that worth the kind of money? No, the kind of money that he's getting paid. And I like Dak Prescott. I think he's a good guy, a good person. Seems like he's real solid and supportive of his teammates and all that. And he's talented in a lot of ways. But is he worth that kind of money? No. A player that's more consistently good is worth that kind of money.
Right. And I like loyal players. I like when people like the team that they're on and they pick that over necessarily like going somewhere else and chasing like a higher check. So that's why I love Luka. That's why I love Dirk. That's, you know, I like people that want to stay. That's why I love Jason Witten.
Yeah.
But
Emmett Smith was like that. He wanted to come back and be a Cowboy to the end, you know, and gotta respect that.
And Dak's the same way. He wants to stay in Dallas, but he's got to produce something.
Yeah.
We got to get either like some sort of eligibility for Super Bowl something, because we've had him too long now for that.
I think
for
so.
Not to have
and then you look at CeeDee Lamb, who also got a big paycheck recently, and he was trying his all yesterday, but he injured his shoulder or his arm, you could tell, and he was wincing, and then he kept wanting to go back in. I'm like, if I were the coach, I'd say, no, buddy, you're done, which they finally did pull him out, but they kind of let him go back in, and I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have made that. I think McCarthy needs to go. McCarthy needs to go. He does nothing for me.
We need a coach that has some, I don't know,
some personality.
Fire, that's the right word, personality.
Yeah.
Because we had Garrett before, who was
not a fan.
Vanilla.
Yeah.
I don't know. Boring.
Yeah.
And then, McCarthy.
Bring back the Jimmy Johnson type of coach who lights a fire and, you know,
I like the Lions coach.
I like him. I like the Rams coach. I like the Lions coach. Yeah. You know, so and the Lions won, and so did the Rams yesterday.
Yeah.
So there you go. There were also Syracuse won in overtime. You were at the game, right?
Yeah, I was. So the first half was 2 hours long and so boring.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my God. And I was sitting next to my friend Emma, who's a big football fan. She went to Florida and she's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So big college football fan, big SEC fan. So we're sitting in the game with some of our guy friends and we're like, if this keeps going on for another quarter, we're leaving because, oh my God. And they hadn't scored a touchdown yet. And we were getting beat and we're like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the third quarter, it was like really close all of a sudden. And they looked like they had some spunk finally. And it was a good game. It was a really good game. And it went into overtime and it was very fun.
Yeah. It's fun when Q's wins too, because like you said, it's college town, so it's very, very fired up about college sports there. So that's fun.
The dome's cool too. I like that. I like the venue. It's because it's smaller than like Coliseum and stuff.
Yeah.
It's inside, which is cool. It's a very cool place.
Yeah, I did an event at the Dome that one year. Where I was, we set it up for not a charity event. It was we were being honored. Hoffman was being honored for its longevity in the region and its contributions to upstate history, the area, the region, the area. Yeah. So it was kind of cool. And I was not going to speak. Pete Carmen was going to speak from Oneida. And he decided at the last minute, he was like, why don't you take my place and speak on behalf of Hoffman? So that was kind of cool.
People always do that to you, Mom.
I know. They know I can pull it off. So if they, feel like they can't or don't want to do it, he certainly could do it. He's a great speaker, very dynamic personality. But that was a good honor, and it was really cool. And we had like the caterers did this amazing giant piece of bread, like giant. And it was it had our logo burned into it. It was very cool. And they had that set up like in the middle of a table with, fruit and cheese and all that stuff around it and some hot food too. And it was really cool.
I had a dome dog.
I know. That's good.
4 of my friends all had a hot dog. It was good.
Yeah. So Hoffman makes the official dome dog for those that don't know. So, yeah, they've had a long-standing relationship with the university.
Well, speaking of a local kind of story, I know this isn't on our sheet, but I wrote it down to bring it up because I know you'll feel the same way I do about it. So I think it's in Central New York, but this is like a nationwide viral story that I've seen all over Twitter and all over TikTok. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of Peanut the squirrel?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Peanut the squirrel is like a viral squirrel that lives at this rehabilitation center in Central New York. Mm-hmm. And he has like 500,000 followers. But this past week, the New York Department of Environmental Conservation took Peanut and they took Fred the raccoon, who lives there too, and they euthanized both of them.
Why?
Because they were suspected to have rabies and they wanted to test them for rabies.
Oh my gosh.
These are people's pets, right? These two animals are pets.
Oh my
and they're
gosh.
all over online. They have like 500,000 followers, and they basically raided. Somebody reported that that the animals had rabies, and so they like basically they said it was like almost like a drug style
Like a
situation where
raid?
they like a raid. They raided the house and searched it for hours looking for the squirrel and for the raccoon, and they took them and euthanized them.
Oh
Isn't
my
that
gosh.
horrible?
That's horrible.
And then of course Elon Musk is like tweeting, this is what your taxpayer money pays for, and this is government overreach at its finest, is taking your pets and euthanizing them just to test them for rabies.
Yeah. Well, not only that, like what validity like do they have? Like what kind of report was it? And, did they have an incident, or is it just a random person phoning in and saying that?
I've seen it was kind of like a random tip.
Well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I'm like imagining like that happening to your pet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't.
The reason I know about the squirrel, which is kind of funny, but my friend Pat, who I worked with for 6 years at Hoffman, when I first started working there, and he and I made a connection, started hanging out a little bit and talking, and he was kind of like my right-hand man when I needed something from afar too. But he gave me a little like stress ball of the squirrel, and I was like, oh my, what is this? He gave me a squirrel, and I'm like, what is this? And then he explained the whole story to me. So that's how I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Peanut.
Oh my gosh.
But isn't that horrible? Like the owners were like crying during an interview online. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about Figgy. And I'm like, if somebody took Figgy from me.
Oh no, they'd have to take me down with Fig. So
I know.
With any of our French bulldogs, they would like literally have to take me down too. So
yeah, I was like, I'd be like, well, I think you might have rabies. Should we kill you and find out?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh. That is crazy.
Yeah, I just think that's the most outrageous story ever.
It is. That's horrific. And I'm sorry that happened. Crazy people.
We want a hard transition to Love is Blind or the election? Which one do we want to do first?
Let's do Love is Blind real quick, and then we'll close with the election since the election's tomorrow. Okay. So
how far are you?
Okay, so
I watched the reunion. I'm done.
I watched the reunion last night.
Oh, did you go through all the episodes, or did you skip to the reunion?
No. I watched all the episodes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hannah, absolute bitch.
Yeah.
I do not like her at all.
I don't like her. She's not likable at all. Yeah.
No.
She looks fabulous, though. She lost 75 pounds or whatever, which, I mean, she looks great. But she's
great.
But her personality didn't change. So.
No. Somebody goes, all these people online are going, girl, you can change the looks, but you are rotten on the inside. And I'm like, she's a bad person.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know what? That guy dodged a bullet. So, Nick.
Oh, he knows it.
Yeah.
He knows it.
Yeah.
And then how about that guy with the dreadlocks telling him to take accountability?
Oh my gosh. I don't like that guy at all. Ramses?
I hate him. He's my least favorite character on the whole thing. Because first of all, he hates the military. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Yeah. Go live somewhere else where the military doesn't protect you.
He has some issues for sure about that.
Second of all, the conversation about condoms literally made me like want to lose brain cells.
And you know what? That girl, she should have seen the red flags. They were all over the place early on with the talks about the military. Military was such an important part of her life. And then for him to
said, it's given me everything good in my life that I have.
Yeah.
And he was like, basically like, you're a war criminal.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that should have been the cutoff point right there. Why she continued on with the guy.
Made me ill. I would have dumped someone on the spot for that.
No, absolutely.
But no, the conversation about birth control from that man, like is either gay. I think he might be.
Yeah.
Or he's like one of those like straight feminist men.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like very like pro woman and pro like gender roles, no gender roles kind of thing.
General neutral.
For him to start like literally throwing a bitch fit about condoms,
no, I know,
blew my mind.
For one thing too, I would have hated that conversation, but I also would have like while he was sleeping, I would have taken a pair of scissors honestly and cut off his little ponytail dreadlock things. I would have.
Well, why were there only two?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was like a tail. It was strange looking.
No, he is ugly and annoying, and I couldn't stand it.
No, I did not like him at all. And I know you didn't like Leo. Didn't bother you, but Leo was so pretentious.
Oh, I know.
So pretentious that's one of my biggest pet peeves is somebody who's that materialistic that drives everything. How often was he going to talk about how much money he made and that he came from a wealthy family and that he has a Rolex? And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's making me vomit.
Yeah, but I'd rather somebody show me exactly what they are than that hypocritical bullshit that Ramses does.
Well, which is why you respect Bernie Sanders, because you know what you get.
Yeah, I was literally talking to one of my friends about this the other day. I was like, I have a Bernie Sanders sweatshirt. I'm going to break it out probably during the election season because I think it's hilarious and people get so confused.
Yeah. So then there was also, let's see, Tim and Alex, like he dumped that girl for taking a nap.
You see her apartment?
I did. It looks like
trashed out.
Yes. I think that's what did it, honestly. I think that it has to be because he was looking around. It looked like a hoarder's den. Like it was so junked up with stuff and there was no
how do you not clean it for production to come in?
I don't know. That just shows laziness. That and I'm sorry, taking the nap. I know people were like, "Well, she had to work or something." No. She did the thing with your parents. His parents are in town. She did spend some time with them, but there were other things that were going to happen, and she should not have taken a nap during that time.
I saw TikTok lazy. And a girl goes, "You meet the parents. That's a one-time thing. You get one shot at that, and you spend as long as there. You get ready to yap. You know you're going to have to talk for a long time, and you just prep for that."
In the reunion, she was like,
get sister a Red Bull. Like, what is she doing?
Yeah. Well, and then she said, well, I already spent like 4 or 5 hours with them earlier. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. They're in town for multiple visit kind of thing, multiple times, touch points,
10 hours in.
Yeah. So I just think that given her apartment and the nap thing that she's probably a lazy person, and I don't tolerate laziness.
He had no respect for her, and I think he was military too, wasn't he?
I think so. He was very regimented and
people are so disciplined,
of course.
And he probably was like, "This girl is lazy as shit, and I can't do it." And he literally looked at her and was like, "There is no situation where I see you being my wife."
No,
and I was like, "Ooh,
I know it was so harsh, but it was so matter of fact that I kind of liked it." Let's see who else was there.
Taylor and Garrett. I like them.
They were very well suited for each other. They made it to the altar. They're still married. So that was good.
He looked good. He had the wife glow up. He looks good.
Yes. He his style changed and was a little updated now. It didn't look so square. So that was good. And then Ashley and Tyler were also well matched.
Have you heard all the drama about that?
No.
So he has 3 kids.
Oh, yeah. No, I did hear that part. I thought there was something else.
No, the 3 kids, like, one of them was not conceived through sperm donation. It was conceived through, they're his kids. So they're not, and, like, his, like, friend that, like, was married to the woman.
Yeah.
Basically, like, oh, no, like, he's been parenting the kids with me the whole time. Like, they call him dad.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're his kids.
Oh,
it's just and the mom and who knows how much truth this lady's telling, right? But it's like she's like, oh, he hasn't seen him since he got back from Love Is Blind. He hasn't seen him, and she's like,
wow,
yeah,
wow, because he was claiming, for those who haven't seen it, that he donated sperm to a friend who was trying to have a baby and had a partner that was also female, and that relationship deteriorated between the 2 women, and that now she's a single parent with these 3 kids that he helped her conceive. I didn't know that, like, it wasn't a sperm donation thing for one of them.
Well, who knows?
Yeah.
What the truth is there, but
well, God bless Ashley and let her figure it out with him and deal with it. And I mean,
none of my business.
they seem really cute together and they seem really well suited, but and
I liked both of them too. I think they're both good looking people and seems nice.
Good personalities and the whole bit. So I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, I did also see a new movie for those who like to go to the movies still, which it's picked up somewhat since the last year. But I saw Conclave, the movie, which is about the selection of the new pope. And it's supposed to be kind of like a Da Vinci Code kind of thriller. It's not. It just doesn't get there. It was kind of boring. And while they kept saying like it kept on the border of being thrilling and having some twists and turns, it really just didn't never achieve it. So just for those who want to see it, still see it if you want to, but that's just my take on it. So
yeah, you said it wasn't worth it.
No. But let's see. So do you want to
finish up with the election?
Yeah, let's circle back to some politics. So Senate races, I'm not super comfortable with either. So I'm a little worried about Ted Cruz and the Texas race against Colin Allred, who is a lawyer and former professional athlete. He played for the Tennessee Titans at one time. He's a Baylor University graduate, played football there as well. And, Texans love their football and love Baylor. So I'm like a little worried about this one. And he's married to a pretty woman, and they have 2 cute kids. And but he was under Obama as the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which I did not know. And I would have been, if I were Ted Cruz's campaign, I would have been promoting that fact to separate him more as a liberal than he's claiming to be.
A liberal coming out of Baylor is rare.
Exactly. That's my point, is that all of Allred's commercials like show him, putting on his football gloves and in the locker room and talking about football and talking about Baylor and talking about his family and showing these cute kids and this pretty wife. And I think that what Cruz lacked in his campaign, hopefully he'll still squeak by. But what I think he was lacking is, one, I would have showcased that fact about Allred and the being connected to Obama. And the other thing is, I would have showed Cruz this last 2 years how he's really upped his game since the Beto O'Rourke scare.
The last 6 years.
Yeah. But the last 2 years, they had a lot of film on him really fighting in the Senate and doing just such a great job about the different Senate hearings and stuff, and how brilliant he really is. Probably more than the last 2 years, but I remember several instances the last couple of years that I was very impressed by him, and I would have done
since Beto, so since 2018, I would say.
He got kicked in the butt then, and he stepped up his game. But I just don't know if his campaign did him justice.
Yeah, well, I think that we wouldn't be having any of these problems like Republicans would in Texas if they moved their needle a little bit on the abortion issue.
Definitely. And that's what I saw in Arizona too, with the not with just the Senate campaign there that's going on, because Carrie Lake is trying to win that seat, but that is an important race as well. But the presidential ads, especially in Arizona, more than Texas, were hammering on the abortion issue again and again and again. And I just don't know,
They make it seem like Trump, with the swipe of his pen, is going to take away all abortion. Yeah. And then they make it seem like Kamala Harris is going to bring it back. And neither of those things are even possible, even if either candidate wanted them.
Right. But people are naive to that. They don't know. And all they know is what they hear.
And I don't know. And Trump didn't take away abortion. He put Supreme Court justices in that ended up overturning a decision that was brought to the court. Right. So it wasn't him, but I mean, I don't know. I think that issue is where the Republican Party's so behind on what the majority of Americans think about that issue. And they need to figure that out.
I think Trump tried to soften that somewhat, because he said, I'm not going to do I'm not going to institute a federal ban on abortion. I can't do that. And he said he can't do it because it's in the state's hands. But I don't know if a lot of people understand that.
If he could, he wouldn't.
Right. And his wife clearly believes in choice, because she just had her memoir that came out. What's that?
He does too. He's from New
No,
York.
I agree too. I think he's just like kind of caught between a rock and a hard place with the Republican Party. Um, but some things that did happen that might make a difference in the election besides the abortion issue is, well, you know, the Trump campaign had the Madison Square Garden rally, which I heard that you could fill up the arena, the venue 10 times over for how many people wanted to be there or were waiting in line for tickets and all that kind of stuff. And then I guess the Democrats supposedly said that they had bought a bunch of tickets and they weren't going to show. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Trump never has a problem filling seats. As soon as people aren't there, they're going to let more people in to fill them that are waiting outside. So that was not an issue. But one of the people who spoke before Trump, I think it was like 5 or 6 hours before Trump even came on, was a comedian who wasn't funny, by the way, at all. I don't even know who put him on stage, that said that Puerto Rico was a floating, you know, pile of trash kind of thing. And
so my thing about this is the comedian that they picked.
Yeah,
he's pretty prominent comedian, especially on social media.
Okay,
he has a show called Kill Tony, which is basically like his thing is roast comedy. So he does a lot of like the Comedy Central kind of roast style things, which makes sense for like, if you listen back to what his set, it's very like harsh directed, right?
Okay.
But his show Kill Tony is basically like, he has other comedians on and they're basically a panel. And then they have like comedians that are starting out come do a 1 minute set, which 1 minute's really fast.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And they like give them notes, or they like so it's usually something like that. And I'm like, they shouldn't have picked a roast comedian.
No, they should.
That doesn't have a filter.
Honestly,
that'd be like Steve Chappelle up there. Like,
honestly,
well, they should do that.
Honestly, they should not have picked a comedian at all at this point. What you do at this point is you pick the people that you know what they're going to say, the messaging, deliver it. You know what you're going to get. You don't do any ifs at this point.
Yeah. And like, if they were going to do a comedian, screen the set.
Yeah.
Make him give you the set and then look at it and say, take this joke out. The Hispanic vote is too important to this campaign, so you can't put that in there.
Well, absolutely. Well, and then I did have a friend who on social media said, I'm not a piece of trash, because he's, you know, Puerto Rican. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's a very nice guy. And
called trash once, and then they're like,
no, I know, but my point with him, you know, I was trying to like be good about it too. But of course, he's not a piece of trash. But I've been called, as a Trump supporter, I've been called ignorant, uneducated. Let's see, trash, garbage, deplorable. Yeah. So, and that I don't have my own mind, that I'm being brainwashed, that I can't think for myself. I mean, there's so many things that I guess that I have.
Hate women.
What's that?
Even though that I hate women.
Yeah.
No, I am a woman.
Yeah. I mean, so, I guess I have thick skin, and I did tell him that. I said, and I guess I have thick skin because I've been called a lot of different things in that kind of arena now with the politics, and I've been called a racist, which is totally insane that people would ever refer to me as racist. And if anybody really truly knew me, they would know how ridiculous that really is. Yeah. So I just told him, you know, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I don't think that was intended. And somebody obviously was going to lose their job, but we're hiring him for the rally. But then that kind of transitioned, that comment about trash transitioned, and Trump really capitalized on it because Biden came out and kind of, you know, he does his little thing where he makes mistakes, and he said, you know, Trump supporters were the only trash. And then the Trump campaign, you know, immediately decked out a garbage truck with the Trump Vance logo, and he was in the orange vest, and he you know, he's a 70, is he 79? I think he's 79. Climbing up into the truck, the garbage truck. He did it, and then he rode around in that, and he was funny. He went to his next rally, and they were like, you know, he said, "Where's my suit and my tie, my red tie?" And they said, "Sir, you would do better wearing the garbage vest. And he said, well, I don't know. And they said, well, it makes you look thinner. And he said, okay.
All right.
All right.
Well, my takeaway from that is that Biden doesn't care anymore, and he actually probably wants Trump to win because he can't stand Kamala Harris.
I think that might be true. I honestly do. He's disrupted a lot of things, and I think some of it's been intentional. Yeah. And like
I can't get past him having the Trump hat on. I think he voted for it.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah, could be.
Did you see that Kamala Harris sent her vote by mail to California?
Yes. I know.
Fly there for the day and go vote in person and make a big show out of it. Like, are you kidding?
Exactly. Like, what a missed opportunity. And then, like, they asked her to on a prop, and she couldn't even, I don't think she even knew what prop it was.
No, she didn't. That's why she didn't answer it.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
And she said, it's the Sunday before the election. I don't want to, endorse one way or the other, but I did vote. And I'm like, oh, so she didn't know.
Well, that was ridiculous, and you could clearly tell that she didn't know. No. But what I was going to say too is that I did comment also to another friend that I would rather have a bulldog in my corner and know what I'm getting, and like you and I said, we like to know what kind of person we're dealing with, and I think that's why we both like Trump, because what you see is what you get. And I'm like, I would rather have the bulldog in my corner than have the person who's claiming joy and unity and calls the opponent Hitler and a fascist. And, they have knives behind their backs because look what happened with Biden. You think he's good with that? Yeah.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would have rather had, if we're going to have Kamala Harris, I would have rather had Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Because I think Hillary Clinton's at least intelligent, competent, and would at least be able to handle the job with some kind of poise and intelligence that Kamala Harris doesn't have.
Yeah, she would definitely get respected because she is smart and she's qualified, and way more qualified than, I did hear, this was funny, talking about being qualified. So MSNBC's Joy Reid, I was on the airplane, I think going to Amarillo about 48 hours ago. And I was flipping stations because when you're on the live TV on the airplane, sometimes it freezes and you kind of like go down. And so I was like going down from Fox, and then I would go to CNN and watch a little bit of that. And then I would go to MSNBC, watch a little bit of that. And Joy Reid popped on in her bright pink outfit. And she said, all I caught from her was, how does anybody not think Kamala Harris is the most accomplished woman of our times?
Jesus.
And I'm just like, how does anybody watch that shit? Because that's ridiculous.
How does anyone think that? Like, even if you're going to say like what has one of the greatest accomplishments as being the like first female vice president,
right?
Sure, granted,
right.
But the most accomplished woman of our time.
That's what she said.
Insane.
Yeah. You'll like this one too. So yesterday, Kathy Hochul, who's the governor of New York, said she flat out said this. I heard the audio on this. She said, if you vote Republican, you're not only anti-woman, you're anti-American.
Oh my God.
And it wasn't even if you're a Trump supporter or lover. It was if you vote Republican. And I'm going, okay, well, a lot of your state, because I've worked in upstate for years, is Republican. So, so she just
they don't like her up here.
Oh, she's horrible. She's horrible. Yeah. She's so stupid too. She's one of those women too who's not she's not intelligent for one thing, but she's in a job that's way above her grade. And she did some video a while back when they were trying to ban the gas stoves. And they taped the message, and she had the gas stove in the background in her own kitchen. And I'm like, gosh, how do you do that? How do you not know? And how do your people go, ma'am, let's pick a different spot to film this?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Right? Or say, I can't really endorse this because I love my gas stove and I'm not getting rid of it.
Yeah. So exactly. Because that just like showed that she has two different sets of standards, one for her and the elitist, and one for, everyday Americans who she wanted them to give up their stoves.
Okay, let's finish with Mark Cuban.
Okay. So, So Mark Cuban was another one that got like it just gets uglier and uglier. So he was on The View, which, I hate that show, but he was on The View.
About The View, yeah.
Yeah. And social media exploded because he said, you never see Trump around strong, intelligent women ever. And then he claimed that Trump's intimidated by intelligent women. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Trump's kids and his wife are intelligent women.
Yes. Yes. His kids are educated and intelligent. Then you've got people like Kellyanne Conway, who was in charge of his campaign. And you've got Tulsi Gabbard, who just switched from being a Democrat to a Republican and is on the Trump team. And Harris Faulkner, who's a brilliant journalist. I mean, the list goes on and on. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who was his, press secretary for a while, and then now is the governor of Arkansas. Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh.
Georgetown.
Yeah. So that was just a stupid. I am not a Mark Cuban fan. I actually did an event with him years ago. When I worked at Star Power, and I'm just
Dallas guy. So
what's that?
He's Dallas guy, so we have some connections to him.
Yeah, of course. And but I just think that I think he's kind of a crybaby. I think that he got his little feelings hurt when Trump didn't want his help with the election before, and so ever since then he's been on this like rampage to diss Trump.
Well, Trump tweeted probably the longest tweet I've seen Trump tweet in a long time. And it was like maxed out on word count on Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
It was about Mark Cuban. And he goes, Mark Cuban's a loser and he's always been a loser. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh my God. And what have we always said about Mark Cuban? We're like, Mark Cuban is like dorky at heart.
Yeah.
He tries to be cool so bad. Instead of just like embracing that he's a little odd like Zuckerberg does and like some of the other
Elon Musk embraces that he's different. Perfect, and it's fine example. Yeah
and that's what made them rich and famous, like
absolutely.
But Mark Cuban, I mean, owning the basketball team, he tries to be the cool guy so much, and Trump basically just clocked him like we did and goes, you are a loser and you've always been a loser. And
I mean, just because he has money doesn't mean that he's cool, obviously.
That's basically what Trump said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. It was but yeah, he was going on about the intelligent women thing, but that he did include that line in there, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. And Cuban obviously backtracked and apologized and all that stuff. But, I almost would have respected him more if he just stuck to his guns and just said, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
If he had said, give me a woman that you think's intelligent and then argue with somebody about it, I'd rather do that. Mm-hmm. Because then at least you're like, all right, it's opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, God help us all, because soon prediction. What do you think is going to happen in the election?
I think Trump's got the aura. He's got the same aura he did in 2016, and I didn't think he had it in 2020.
No, I didn't either.
Too keyed up and wasn't settled enough, and I didn't feel it in 2020.
No, I didn't either.
I felt it in 2016 from the beginning.
Yep.
And I think he's got the mojo.
I think so
got
too.
The energy.
I think it's like a football team.
I don't think we'll know. It's too close. The polls are too close. I don't think we'll know for a week.
Well, I don't even trust the polls. So, I mean, the polls said that Hillary Clinton was going to win by a landslide. So,
right.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not accurate, but with how close they are and how that's not normal.
Yeah.
I think we won't know for a while, especially with some of the key states. Like I'm thinking Michigan, even though they're calling it for her. Michigan, Wisconsin,
Pennsylvania,
Arizona, and Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think Arizona will go right away after being there and seeing the enthusiasm and the momentum. I think we'll know that pretty quick. I think that Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan are going to lag behind, and we might not know right away. I bet
Wisconsin ends up going for Harris because of Walz.
I think so too.
But I think Pennsylvania, Michigan will be interesting.
I did hear a funny thing that they said, is Minnesota in play the other day?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, isn't that Walz State? And they're in fact he made an appearance at one of the football games at the Minnesota game last week, and they booed him. They booed him and told him to get out. Like, ooh. That was hard.
See, this is what I mean. I think Trump's got the aura. I don't know what it is, but I think he feels it too. Even with the McDonald's pictures.
Yeah. That was great.
Garbage truck pictures, and then pulling back out the assassination attempt pictures with the fist in the. I think he's got. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to jinx him. So, but
I like I said, I'm nauseously optimistic. I do think he's going to win. I think it's like a football team that has the synergy and momentum, and you just can't stop them, kind of thing. So I do feel it as well, like I did in 2016. And as you know, 2 years prior to that, I bought a shirt online, had it made that said Trump for president, and wore it everywhere. So I think he's going to win. Everybody say a prayer for our country tonight and tomorrow, and hopefully everybody will come together.
Pray for it either way, because whoever wins, it's going to be crazy. So.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy, and I hope that whoever wins brings the country together. So we'll see.
Yep.
All right.
The only win I can see out of Kamala Harris winning is that there's a female president, which is a win for the country in general. But
yeah,
I don't want it to be her, but
there's so many other brilliant women. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining us today.
Long episode today.
Did it run long? I didn't know it ran long. A lot to talk about. Thanks for everybody for joining us, and you can find our video portion of it on YouTube, and then you can also find the audio on different podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. And this has been the Baker Take.